another episode of Critical Critique Pause on Point. Although I guess it's gaming the system because we're doing a gaming related video this time.
Yeah.
This is an alley pick. He found a video on Overwatch 2, a game that I haven't played and I don't care about. So we're gonna have a fun time.
Me neither. But it's not really about Overwatch for me. And if it gets too boring later in the video, we'll just skip that part, I guess.
Yeah, I guess because Ali wanted more of a discussion about some of the other topics in the video, so it's fine. It'll be okay. We'll figure it out. I mean, content is content at the end of the day.
How little of it is there is.
Yes, how little of the just a crumb of content, please. We need a crumb of content. So anyway, I guess we'll just get straight into it then.
There was a time where certain video game development companies were unbelievably consistent with producing high-quality products.
Okay, pause.
Incredibly consistent with producing high-quality products, such as Todd Howard's Wild Wide,
Such as Skyrim.
Yeah,
Whoa.
such as Skyrim, specifically on the Xbox 360.
Fallout, I guess.
Although to be fair, the 360 version was at least better than the PlayStation 3 version. Because man, I remember the PlayStation 3 version was rough. It was rough.
I remember my cousin played on the PlayStation Skyrim. And he was, as we all were, never get up before it is absolutely necessary to get up. But he was waking up early to play more Skyrim before he went to school and stuff.
So the thing with that, as a side tangent, is that when Skyrim was developed, it was developed first for PC and Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Because PlayStation at the time had, like, I'd have to remember the specifics of this, but like PlayStation 3 specifically was a completely different architecture.
The cell system, I believe.
Yeah, it was completely different. So they had to like reverse engineer the game to work, and it led to it ran like shit.
Yeah.
It ran like it would crash too. Like it was not great on
My cousin said that he needed to delete his save file because it was way too big because, after a while all the items placement
that happens. So it's I don't know, like I get what he's trying to say though, right? Like but I feel like this is a bit of a rose tinted glasses kind of nostalgia.
Because this first 5-10 seconds was really set me off to cover this video because we have here Diablo 1. When did Diablo 1 came out?
Fucking God knows when. I don't play Diablo, so I don't really.
All right, and so it's a 19-something, I believe, or
GTA 3. Like I get what he's trying to say. Like the thing is like I don't know if you'd consider, because he's arguing about like consistently good, right? Like they're consistently good, right? I don't know. I don't know if I'd say consistently.
My biggest problem is that this time period between Diablo 1 and The Last of Us, in that entire 20-year period, that it was only bangers, only the most consistent.
Yeah, game developers.
The original Xbox, the most consistent good platform ever.
Yeah. Well, let's see what he has to say.
Development companies were unbelievably consistent with producing high-quality products. Nintendo, Bungie, Naughty Dog, Bethesda, Rockstar, Blizzard, these guys used to release nothing but classics. Sadly, that consistency is gone, and the continued...
Okay.
Damn.
Oh yeah, I just got to turn it up a little bit on my end so I can hear him a bit, because he's very low. His audio is quite low. So his point is, okay, so gaming has become bad, right? Understandable point.
But he shows some. If you, I'm on the early access black.
Yeah, I'm on the early access black screen too. Yeah,
Can you go back a little bit real quick?
Let me have a look. Just drag it a little bit. His Last
Yeah,
of
good
Us.
enough, good enough.
Alright.
So he's mostly showing off remakes and whatnot.
Remakes, poorly received sequel. Like we can have a look. Just if I go all the way back and we just play it.
Naughty Dog.
So you got Destiny.
Destiny
Fallout
was
7.
okay.
Destiny was like, yeah, I don't. I remember like Destiny was more kind of like mediocre.
Not
receptive, or,
what
like,
people
reception.
kind of expected, because it was from the
Yeah.
studio of Halo and it
Yeah,
wasn't
it wa-
Halo.
I know that with Destiny 2, right? There's a bit of a cult following around Destiny where it's like it's not like the people that like it are really into it, right? Like the people that do like it are quite into it. I'm not particularly into it, but yeah. And then you've got Fallout 76, which I mean, yeah, that was a fucking shit fire.
Yeah, but
Bethesda.
then
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I had a lot of fun with the Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief. I've heard nothing about good things about that one, so I don't know about that.
I mean, I can give you a list of things that annoyed me in it, but I have a lot of fun while playing it.
Consistency is gone.
And
You got
Alright.
the Super Mario 3D All Star. Wasn't that the one that was like a they only
limit,
sold that for a limited time?
yeah, limited time. But I don't know. He's kind of mixing some arguments here that these are bad games, or are they cash grabs?
Yeah, like
re-releases.
there's a difference between the game itself being bad mechanically or having issues around like glitches or crashes.
I mean,
or whatever, and poor monetization practices. Like there's a difference between those two things, and I feel it would have been better for him to kind of maybe split them apart a little bit, like so, because it's kind of confusing as to like what is he talking about here, right?
Because
And then he's
Animal
also got,
Crossing
like-
was fine, Destiny was fine,
Yeah, what else?
Fallout
have we got?
was bad.
So so we got Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which I don't remember there being.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, actually, yeah, no, wasn't there something about that? Fuck.
yeah, terrible
was it?
port. It was an absolutely terrible port, and they
Yeah.
deleted the option to buy the older version for this one.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
or
this
something,
one was
yeah, now
super
I
bad.
remember. Yeah, now I remember. Last of Us remastered. I mean, I don't like Last of Us
But
on
the,
the best of days, but
the only problem with The Last of Us Remastered is that it was too new. It wasn't.
yeah, it happened really. Yeah, it happened really soon.
We
Yeah.
practice.
And then we've got like the new. Look, you've got remastered and then remastered 2 because they had to
And-
do it again.
But I don't really feel that a remaster of a game that came out
I'm
2 years
gonna-
ago isn't.
I'm gonna produce the argument that what he means by this is releasing the same game over and over again, rather than an argument about the quality of the game. But again, that's just another case of him mixing the arguments, because now there's 3 things, right? There's 3 problems. You've got bad game, Fallout 76, right? You got poor monetization practices or anti-consumer practices, right? And then you have releasing the same game over and over again. Which, thing is all 3 of those are kind of valid in certain situations. I just don't know if, like... I can see where he's trying to go with this. He's trying to make like a overall cohesive point with these examples, but I feel like it needed a bit more time.
I mean, Austria is
We're
large.
really delving right into it right now.
Yeah.
So,
Diablo
but-
Immortal, Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2, but his earlier image, his collage of the good old times was way too wide of a time period across way too many genres.
Some of these games came out somewhat within the same time.
Yeah, but
Kind of like some like yeah. I don't know.
the time period between, say, Animal Crossing, which came out in 2019, and here Overwatch 2, which is now 2022, is still 3 years. That is a lot of time, actually. No, and I believe Fallout was earlier than that. Yeah, that was something like in 2017.
Something like that, yeah. But
Because-
anyway, I think he's going to go into point by point now, so let's see what he has to say about early access.
Video game betas used to be free events where developers briefly released an incomplete build of a game in order to collect data and feedback to polish it for its imminent release. With time, this concept has devolved into charging money for or implementing monetization into incomplete games under the label of early access, with promises to add more content and complete them someday. This approach is understandable for smaller development teams as they're much more likely to lack funds needed to execute their true vision for the game. But when AAA gaming corporations...
Because I don't really buy that.
My problem here is he's confusing two different things.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion of things, and it's...
Because there's a difference between a... I know that this difference is kind of, like... There should be a difference here, but I get why he's conflating the two, is you have the betas versus the early access. Because I can agree that betas have kind of become this sort of, like, less of an actual, like, oh, we're doing this to test the product, and more like a demo, right?
But it always
like,
kind of...
like a paid demo in a lot of cases, because you'll get, like, you know, Call of Duty or, you know, Battlefield or whatever. It'll be like, oh, pre-order now to play the demo, or the beta, I mean, early, you know, like, so I get, again, it's weird, I get what he's trying to say, right? I get, like, the point he's trying to make, but there's this conflation between, like, because early access is a completely different concept. Because early access is more like, hey, as he mentioned with his example of, you know, smaller devs, right? It's like, hey, we have got this idea for this game, it's not fully realized yet, but you can play it, and if you like it, give us some money, and we can continue development of the game while it's, you know, and you get to play the game while it's being developed, right? And you get to have input into the process of the game's development. And there have been a lot of very successful games that have, you know, done that. You know, you have Little Witch Nobella, you have
Hades.
Hades, you've got Darkest Dungeon. Like, there are a lot of games where that has been a very successful strategy for them. And of course, you have your bad eggs. Like, I think he brought, you know, there's those survival games like 7 Days to Die, and, you know, other games that just kind of seem to stay in early access for the rest of their existence. And
Star Citizen.
Cough, cough. They don't actually end up materializing into full games. So there's a valid criticism to be had, right? But the question is whether or not the idea itself has merit, right? Whether or not the actual, like, concept of early access has merit.
I feel also there's some big rose-tinted glasses here, because he kind of implies that in the old days, companies released demos without any notion of promotion. They just wanted a
betas,
better...
I guess. Yeah, because he mentions betas.
Betas were pure and only for the benefit of the product, not for promotion.
I think that it's just because I think around that 360 era, you know, 360 PS3 era was actually when we started to see betas kind of stop being about, because companies realized that they could, like, make money off it, and they could use that as a method to monetize. Because again, it's like I mentioned with the Call of Duty example. It's like, oh, you can pre-order the game and you get early access to the beta or
to
whatever,
the multiplayer.
you get to play it early or whatever, and so they're marketing the game on this idea of being able to play it first, right?
And I remember something weird where I bought a game like, I don't know, some game, say Dishonored or something. I bought Dishonored, and then I got a code, a thing for the beta for Gears of War.
Right. Yeah, that was also a thing that happened, yeah. I will say, I do lament that we no longer really do demos as much anymore, because I have fond memories of, you know, if we're going to be doing rose-tinted glasses day to day on the cast, right? Back when I was a wee lad on my original Xbox, you know, when I was still a wee little child. Yeah. There would be a thing called the official Australian Xbox magazine, right?
Ooh.
And you would buy the official Australian Xbox magazine, and you would get a demo disc. And the demo disc would have, like, a selection of little tiny, like, vertical slices of, you know, all these kind of games, and it would be like all kinds of games. You'd get some racing games on there. You'd get
Did you ever get a Need for Speed?
Yeah, there was a Need for Speed.
Oh, no, Burnout.
Burnout. I don't know about Burnout, but there was. I'd have to remember. I've still got. Well, I don't. My brother's got them because he's got the original Xbox and all of that shit now. But like, we still have all of those demo discs. And there's like you'd get like all kinds of different games, and it was really great because you'd get to like try out these games, and then because the history of Niretsu, I guess, is I came from a relatively poor household, so it's not like you'd be buying games all the time, and if we were, we'd be buying pre-owned or we'd be renting, right? So you'd get the magazine, you'd get the demo disc, and then you'd just be playing the demos over and over and over again as your games, right?
Mm.
And then maybe if you saw that game at like the video store, you'd get your VHS video store, right? DVD VHS video store. Zoomers will not know what I'm talking about. You'd be like, damn, yeah, I'll rent that for the weekend, So I get, there's a bit of nostalgia there for that. And I think that in the age of online distribution, such things have kind of become like, because you could just download a demo.
Yeah,
the
right? Problem with demo disc is that they're completely obsolete.
Oh yeah, there's no reason to have a demo disc now because it's well, most computers don't even have fucking disk drives.
And also, you can watch a video on YouTube to see how it plays.
Yeah. You can watch a video on YouTube, or like I said, you could, if there is a demo for a game, you could just download it, or you could just download, the game, right, online via purely legal means, or whatever.
But so the rose-tinted demo disc part we have now covered and explained to this man through the screen. Let's now go to early access.
Yeah, early access, like I mentioned, it's one of those things where I personally think it's more of a benefit than a hindrance, because for every case of this game stays in early access forever and never really leaves it and it just keeps mooching money, right? For every case of that, you'll get maybe a couple of Darkest Dungeons or Hades or, other game that'll come out, that actually is a fully fledged game that went through that process of early access and ended up being good, right? So I feel like there's a little bit of like, take the good with the bad, kind of. And I feel like it's one of the problems I have with a lot of like gaming is there's this kind of air of pessimism around everything where the negative stuff tends to get amplified a lot more. I know it's human nature, but the negative tends to get amplified more than the positive in a lot of cases, and we're probably going to be talking about that a lot this video, if he continues on this path, where I feel like there should be a little bit more nuance into the situation, and there could be a discussion about like, okay, how can we make early access better so that we get more of those good games rather than those bad games, right?
So
how can we adjust the process? But overall, I think that it's a net positive.
Yeah, so I think early access is often used in replacement of a demo, which is fine. You have limited time early access periods, and that's basically a demo time, of course. The servers are up for this amount of time on this and this day. Early access it's kind of replaced the word or demo in some cases. But a lot of early access games are either very cheap or free. So I can't really... Even for Overwatch 2 on screen right now with very low texture quality. You see that jacket?
I think it's just the video. I don't know.
No, I'm very sure because the text itself is very clear. And then you look at the logo or the blur.
I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah, Overwatch 2, as you were saying.
Yeah, Overwatch 2 is free to play, so you don't really.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it free to play? I thought Overwatch was pay to play. I thought you had to pay for it.
That was the first one. I'm very sure that...
I don't know. Maybe it's free to play now. I don't know. I think I remember. I think didn't Overwatch 1 go free to play at one point or something? Like I can't. I didn't. I never got into Overwatch, so I don't know the specifics of it. But I guess
don't
if it's
either.
free to if it's free to play, it's free to play. Whatever.
Yeah,
Someone will
whatever.
correct us.
And even if it's in the early access period, games are cheaper. I kind of feel that in the conversation about early access, it's sometimes forgotten that the games that are either free or very cheap.
Or in
And
a lot of cases, some games will be like, oh, if you buy it during the early access period, it will be cheaper than release.
yeah, that's
So that's another thing they tend to do.
so. I don't really. It's it's branded as early access, so I can't really fault people. The only sense that I would agree with this person whose name I forgot is that early access has the promise that the game will change at least and hopefully be better.
I think at the end of the day, when you buy into early access, you're buying into an incomplete product, and it's that product can and probably will evolve from the time that you bought it. Right?
Oh yeah, no, so Naretsu, I played the Dyson Sphere project, right? Dyson Sphere project.
Yeah, you're very into that, yeah.
Well, not really very. I just played it a lot for a short period of time. It's kind of a Factorio, but in space and on round planets, so it gets kind of weird with the geometry.
Yeah.
You're a robot. It's fun. You're solar collectors. You collect stuff. You send it from one planet to another, from one system to another, and you may make giant Dyson spheres. And the devs are all the way in China, and they communicate like only once a month, so it's very easy to assume they're dead or they've disappeared.
They'll just magically show up one day, and be like,
yeah,
"Hey, here's an update."
Here once a month. Here, we're not dead. Here's an update. But I'm kind of fine with the product how it is. I like Dyson Sphere project how it is. I had a lot of time with how it was. In the time that I played it, before they had color splitters and fluids,
and all kinds of other magical...
new buildings, and they're going to add enemies that attack you.
Oh no!
An entire new system, and I don't really need that because I had a lot of fun with how it is.
The core game as it was already enjoyable enough. You
so
need anything else.
I don't really feel this. Maybe it's me that I don't really feel this big connection to a game that I play that is in early access. That I am now part of the community that now is
the community. Yes.
That the community. A side note that communities are there to further sell the product on behalf of the company, course.
I've never been a very social community man myself, so I don't have much to say on that. But
yeah,
no, I get what you mean. I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean.
I played I believe it's my belief that you pay for the product for how it is right now, and if it's not fun right now, you can always bank on it being better later. But you should at least have fun with who it is now. And you can complain till the end of time if they make it worse. That's a very valid, I believe.
I would add to that you should always go in with that expectation in the back of the head that you are indeed buying an incomplete product. Even if that product that's incomplete is fun how it is, you get what you pay for, basically, right? You get what you pay for when you buy an early access game, right? And it's very easy to look at an early access game and be able to judge, hey, is this like, like if you're specifically going out and buying those like 7 Days to Die style, survival zombie games or whatever, like you get what you pay for. Like, come on. You can't tell me that you look at one of those games' Steam page and you look at like gameplay footage of it or whatever, and you go, man, I didn't know this was going to be fucking jank.
I recently bought this game Terra Invicta, which is a 4X game, and it's from XCOM modders guys who thought that XCOM wasn't complicated enough, so they made an entire game which was 10 times more complicated.
Which is based, not gonna lie, pretty based.
Yeah, but it's spreadsheets and influences and 0.5% influencing 5% on that.
Yeah, you pray to Iron Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, that your assassination goes off well. Otherwise, your country gets destabilized for 1.5 points every 7 days.
Shit, yeah.
It's so complicated. It's way too complicated. I had fun playing it, but if it were me, I would cut out like half of the mechanics, not half of the mechanics, half of the skills you can do, half of the options that there are, because it's so complicated. But that's what I expected, kind of, when I went in. I saw a lot of numbers, a lot of buttons I could press, and a very, very complicated combat system.
It's kind of like people getting into Tarkov. Like when you buy Tarkov, you kind of should be expecting what you're getting, a little bit. But anyway, let's see what else he's got to say about early access.
Adopt this mod. It comes off as an excuse to reap the rewards of releasing a full game without actually putting the effort into cultivating one.
Should we comment on stores in early access games?
I feel like that kind of ties. I think he's about to get into Battle Pass, which kind of ties into that a little bit. But I feel like it really depends, because I understand the argument. If it's a AAA game, right? If it's a AAA game that's not free to play, and it's a $60 buy-in, I am of the mind that there shouldn't really be a cash shop in it. If it's a free-to-play game, it's a little bit different, because when it's a free-to-play game, that's how they monetize, right? Like I'm not actually old, but in comparison to a lot of the fucking Zoomers that probably don't watch our fucking channel, I am an old man, right? That remembers back when all of these arguments about monetization and stuff were happening, right? You'd have Jim Sterling, doing his videos, going off about it, and you'd have other people going off about it. And end of the day, it's kind of like people still fucking brought it, Like, no matter how hard people kind of railed against the whole cash shop monetization within AAA kind of games and stuff, like, it didn't really matter at the end of the day, because people still fucking brought the shit.
Overwatch 2 is free to play. I just looked it up.
Yeah. Alright, there you go. So,
sure.
If it's free to play, I don't have a problem, right? Even if it's a AAA game, right? Even if it's a AAA game, I don't have a problem with them having monetization like that inside a free-to-play game, because at the end of the day, you're playing the game for free, and they have to make money somehow, right? And if they weren't making money via microtransactions, currency shop, whatever, they'd be making money through like advertising, or they'd be making money through some other annoying fucking bullshit that would get in the way of your fucking game. So at that point, you kind of have to.
He's going to get to a little bit point, and
he's going to get into that a little bit. Yeah, we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, because he's probably going to get into that a little bit here with Battle Pass. But like, my overall feelings, because you asked, right, the overall feelings on like monetization, right? It's like, you have to look at it on like a case by case basis, right? You have to look at the game. You have to go, right, how is this implemented? Is it implemented in a way that detracts from the actual gameplay experience or not? Is it completely optional? Do I feel pressured to engage with the cash shop? Do I need it to be able to enjoy the game, right? Is it a factor like that? Or is it just like, oh, here, if you want to buy the funny banana skin and look like a dumbass for $5 or something, right? Like, I honestly can't get mad about that stuff anymore, right? Because it's,
yeah,
we are long. I'll finish and then I'll let you cap it off, and then we'll continue. We are long past the days of horse armor, right?
Yeah,
we are like that ship has sailed. Is my point. So I'll let you go.
Overwatch only really has skins, and I don't really care about skins that much. I don't have the big social pressure to get skins for characters. Mainly because I don't really play games that have a lot of skins.
If I want to get a skin for a character, because my bias here is I'm a gotcha faggot. Oh shit! Damn it! I keep saying the bad words. We're gonna get banned from YouTube one day because I'm gonna slip out a slur.
I'll sacrifice you and they'll be appeased.
I'll get sacrificed, yeah, on the altar of the slur sayers. But no, I'm a gotcha man, right? So I play these gotcha games, and these gotcha games have a lot of this monetization because again they're free to play, right? I'm not going to roll for a character or roll for a skin if I don't give a shit about it, you know. Like if I care and I like the look of the character or I like the look of the skin, or maybe if the character's meta or not, depending on how things are, then yeah, I'll roll for them, or I'll buy that skin in the gem store or whatever, right? Or however I decide to go about it, right? It's never really. It's like you mentioned, like there's the idea of there being like a social pressure to get these I never feel that. I don't feel that at all. For me, it's a matter of like, okay, do I want this or not?
And sure, I think some skins are cool, but I never really felt Overwatch skins were so cool I just had to have one. And I played a little bit of Apex, and I went through the skins. And those expensive,
cool. Yeah.
those expensive skins sure look better than the regular reskins, but it wasn't enough to convince me to buy a lot of Apex coins so I could roll the whatever or buy the Apex skin.
Boxes, yeah.
I once put a tenner into Overwatch and bought the loot boxes to experience it once. And it was kind of, I was kind of feeling like a Denji. I'm like, is that it?
I feel like, we should probably let's continue because we can talk about gotchas and stuff when we get through this. So let's see what he has to say about Battle Pass.
Yes, Fortnite's baby. The Battle Pass is an assortment of in-game items earned with time played and challenges completed. It doesn't cost money to score a portion of the rewards, but the paid premium version contains the best booty. Fortnite is a free-to-play game, so the strat is to incentivize the player to purchase V-Bucks, the in-game currency used to buy cosmetics such as skins and emotes in the shop. The Battle Pass not only includes these things, but more V-Bucks than it costs to buy the premium version. In fact, even the free version gives you a few buckaroos. The catch to all this is that it only lasts for an in-game season, usually around 10 to 12 weeks. Many games imitate this model of...
So, Fortnite specifically, I have no experience with it, but Battle Passes are a relatively new addition to the idea. On the one hand, I get it because it incentivizes continuation, because that's more important to these companies, is that people stay playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because the person that continues to play the game is more likely to spend money on it over time, right? Because they'll just want to it's human psychology at work, right?
I would believe they want to be less dependent on 5 big whales and just
more
have
little whales. Yeah, they want
10 tunas or something.
However, whatever
10 big
terminology
fish
you want to use to talk about it, because and the battle passes in general, I think the idea, like I get like the idea behind it is pretty good, where it's you get a bunch of free shit, you get a bunch of free stuff. If you want to get the fancier paid stuff, you got to pay for it. I do like the idea that because he's going to talk about how like other games have copied the same idea, but they make it worse, right? One of the things that he mentioned in Fortnite is that if you buy the pack will give you enough currency to buy the next pack. So that incentivizes you to keep playing the game, right? Because if you go through the battle pack and get all the currency, right, you will eventually earn enough currency to buy the next season without having to put in
Get
any
your
more
investment back.
Yeah, pretty much. And I like that. I think that's good. I think that's probably detrimental to their bottom line, which is probably why a lot of other games haven't copied that, right? Because I feel like that doesn't incentivize people to buy more of the currency, right? Because you're making back the investment. So I feel like, again, this is why when I mentioned, like, you have to look at this at like a case by case level, right? Like, how does Fall Guys implement it versus Fortnite versus War Thunder versus other game, right? Like, you have to.
The thing though is that, at least personal experience, personal anecdotes, is that I'm not attracted. I'm not convinced by the skins. So the benefit of these battle passes already fail automatically, and I much rather would save up those 1400k for the 14k currency to buy that one helmet that I like, rather than have it locked behind the level 66 battle pass thing, because I don't care about anything or before or after it.
You don't want to put, like, you're not necessarily into the time investment it's going to take to grind to that level 66 to get that helmet. You'd rather just buy the helmet, right?
Well, maybe
because that's what you're leveraging, right? You're leveraging your like the time versus cost fallacy, or it's not a fallacy, but like the time versus, like, that's one of the main psychological factors they use to get money out of people. Is they'll be like, okay, do you want to grind for like 20 hours to get the thing, or do you want to pay $5 for the thing, right?
Yeah,
that's a very common psychological tactic that's used in a lot of these games to get you to.
This is of course not helpful, I guess, for the wider industry and discussing wider industry, but I'm rather picky with what I like and don't like. So I would never run out of currency to buy the one thing that I like.
See, this is kind of what I was getting at before when I was talking about, like, my gacha habits, right? Because my gacha habit is literally like, so Girls Frontline right now, right? I know, because this is a very interesting facet of having a game that is further ahead in another country than it is in your own, where you can kind of plan ahead, right? So I knew there was a mecha gacha skin with all the girls in the tight mech suits, and all of the suits are have names that are references to animes, and they all have like really like a lot of care and detail put into them and stuff. And there's little tiny little nods to different things, right? And I'm into that. I like that, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go hard on this gacha skin banner, right? I'm gonna go hard on it. I am not gonna roll any other banner until the one that I want comes out. So I've got like fucking 32k currency, free to play mostly, right? Because you get, currency as you play the game, and you do dailies, right? I play the game every day. I do my dailies. I get 2 or 3 tokens, or I get tokens via events. When they do an event, they'll give you like 50 or 100 or whatever, right? And I just save that up. And I save that up for months and months and months, right? Because the Chinese version of the game is like a few months ahead of the English one. And eventually, I just wait until the thing that I want comes out, and then I will just blow all of that on the thing that I care about, right? So I've been patient, and I've waited, and I have all of this currency saved up, and hopefully I'll get a bunch of these skins that I care about, right? Like, I might not get the specific one that I care about, because obviously luck is luck, right? You never know what you're going to get when you're playing the gacha, right? But the point is that I have this mentality of saving for things, right? I save and I use my resources effectively, right? I don't waste resources on something that's not beneficial to the end goal of getting what I want, right?
For gacha though,
So no, but I feel like you and I are like a minority, is what I'm getting at. I think a
Well,
lot of people
I'm
just kind of like, oh wow, that's shiny. I have to go for it now, right? They don't plan ahead like we do, in a sense.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to generalize because some people just have the money and
Oh
just
yeah,
are
no,
willing to spend it.
I fucking get really confused when I watch like VTubers or streamers or whatever, and they'll just like fucking drop like hundreds of dollars onto these gotcha. I'm like, how the fuck do you have this much disposable income?
Apparently they have, and therefore it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah, but with me as a poor boy free to play, fella, it's kind of like I'm like, no, I have to prioritize saving and like, and not necessarily totally free to play. Like, every now and then I might buy like a monthly card or something. Like just to stock up more. Just to support the game.
I have a crippling disability the crippling mental disability that makes me unable to play mobile games that demands a daily login, because I'll miss a daily login after one day and then it says you failed your daily login, start again. Not feeling it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I mean, I'm pretty good on
also
this stuff, so.
Mobile games aren't interesting enough story wise, gameplay wise, etc.
Well,
I played your Ghouls Frontline, Retsu. It was boring, and I already forgot how it played.
Oh no! The problem is that a lot of those games start off bad. They have really bad starts because it's annoying because you encounter the One Piece problem where it's like you'll be like, dude, it gets good at like episode 250. It's a problem that these games kind of have, is that the early game is really lackluster compared to what comes after, as they sort of like get their groove, I guess. But we kind of going a bit off topic. Like my point I was trying to make is like, you have to. I feel like you have to like look at this a little bit more nuanced, and you have to look at this on like a case by case. So let's see what point he's going to make about different games implementing the system.
Battle passes.
Monetization, but with gradual perversions that make it worse for the player and better for the corporation. Okay. Overwatch 1 was Blizzard's last good game before the company's reputation began to collapse. Plenty of videos have already been made covering this topic. I'll link you some good ones. The game felt polished and complete, but the flawed progression system foreshadowed the sleazy practices to come. Basically, there were tens of heroes and each...
Okay, so we'll let him explain it, but like, yeah, Blizzard is not in a good place.
Yeah, I don't really know what he kind of means by Overwatch 1 foreshadowed 2.
I'm not I'm not familiar enough with, because I always believed, because didn't Overwatch, like, I'm pretty sure it had a battle pass. I'm pretty sure it had...
Oh, it didn't. It was just loot boxes.
It was just
well, no, you had to buy like you had the cheap version for the €20, and you had the special version with special skins for 60.
Okay.
And then the rest was loot boxes.
Remember? Yeah, I don't quite. Yeah, I'm not gonna fucking remember any of this because I never played the game. But like, yeah, no, Blizzard's in a bad spot right now. But let's have him explain it. Let's have him explain it and see what he has to say about it.
Each one cosmetics associated with them. Loot boxes, which were earned with match performance, time played, or bought with real-life money. What sucks...
Okay, so that's a key point there, right? Again, you remember what I mentioned before about like time versus money, right? Where you have, you can earn the premium currency to buy the loot boxes if you put in enough time investment into the game, along with performance in the game, right? Like
the thing though is that
doing your daily quests or whatever, right? Like using other games as examples.
The thing though is the sneaky and sleazy thing with these events though is that it's completely impossible to play enough in these special event time periods to get every skin that you want.
Yeah, and that of course that depends on the game that you're playing, obviously. But
Yeah,
like,
but
I
that's
agree
kind
that
of also the same
when
for
you-
every event.
there's a psychological phenomenon that I believe is called fear. What's it called? It's fear of missing out.
Yeah.
There's an acronym for it.
FOMO.
It's like FOMO, yeah. And that's, again, it's one of these psychological tricks that game developers will use to try and get you to, like, oh, you're going to miss out on the thing. Which is, there are ways to mitigate that. I know that in a lot of the games I play, it'll be like, yeah, no, you might miss that character, but they'll come back. You just gotta wait like a few months, but they'll eventually you will get your opportunity to.
And I believe that in the Overwatch, it was a system where next year the old skins would be in the rotation again
probably. So that again, it's part of that psychological thing I just mentioned. It's like, yeah, you have the FOMO, right? But it's like fake FOMO. It's not real FOMO, because once you realize, oh, even if I miss it now, eventually I will have a chance to get it. It kind of like you can kind of fight that psychological roadblock in your brain that's telling you, no, you need to do it now. Otherwise you're gonna miss it. You can go, no, you shut up. I will wait. But of course, a lot of people don't have that same psychological mindset.
I do want to, maybe to get to the video, he was kind of vague on how Overwatch for both 2 and how bad 2 was, but I never really...
he hasn't talked about 2 yet, so I guess we'll let him rantle on about how 1's monetization was and then compare it to... Because I assume he's going to compare it to 2, so let's see what he says.
What sucks boxes is that everything received is random, so there's no guarantee that you'll get anything you truly want. A currency was implemented to mitigate this issue, but was also randomly acquired through loot boxes. Despite the shady loot box...
Yeah, it's... Yeah, the whole psychology around loot boxes and gambling and gotcha stuff is
those currencies were... I mean, maybe Overwatch introduced... I believe those currencies were there at the beginning, though. So
I don't recall, but I feel like I more wanted to talk about, like, yeah, there is definitely there's a lot of psychological mind games going on when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it plays into a lot of like the same kind of stuff gambling.
It's a lot of gambling things going on.
And I think that there is there's a conversation to be had around that, which I feel like should be had, and I feel like there needs to be some form of... I've always been a good proponent of these games should be clearly labelled as having it, and it should be like something that affects the rating of the game, if it has it, personally, because I think that, yeah, it shouldn't be something obviously kids...
I do find that, Europe was faster with this, but the very moment governments started to look over their shoulder and see... Hey, what's that? Oh, it's gone. It's all Battle Pass.
see, it's interesting how that there's been that progression into Battle Pass from loot boxes due to that. And oddly enough, I mean, China is not a very based country, but they are very based when it comes to loot boxes. They have implemented a lot of things that have affected a lot of, because a lot of gotcha games come from China, right? That's where they come from. But China has implemented a lot of really, I think, good rules around that. And oddly enough, Overwatch found themselves playing foul to that, because one of the rules that they have over in China is by law, you have to disclose the rates. Right?
Yep.
So you have to have a page on... So if you ever play a gotcha game, right, and you look at a banner, there's often like a little button you can click that will bring up like a page. They'll say, right, here are the characters that are in the banner. It has a 7 or a 2 or a 0.1% chance of the 5-star, and of that there is a 70% chance it will be this character because it's a rate up, right? And it will lay out very plainly and specifically, here are the percentage chance rates for this, so that you know how rare something is, or what your actual chances are of obtaining that thing that you want, and how low it is. And
the only gacha game that I played for, and phone game that I really played for a lengthy time was Fire Emblem Heroes. And they had indeed a page where they showed very clearly that 5 stars
Yeah.
had a
That is
0.57% chance.
Yeah. And then there'll also be like, okay, here's the pity system where the more that you roll, the higher the chances get, and that's how this is how that works. Like it'll go very, very in depth with that, right? And the reason that these games have that is because of China, because China has that mandated by law. If you don't add that, then China will not sell your game. They won't allow you to do it. And Overwatch ran foul because they kept trying to get around that and not show the rates in the game. And that was a bit of a problem. Yeah, it was a really weird thing where it's like, why wouldn't you just show the fucking rates? Like just like, come on. So they actually
sometimes
I believe, like,
sometimes not worshipping at the altar of capitalism is kind of helpful.
Sometimes. But like the basic gist is like, yeah, they got banned in China for a bit because of the fact they would not comply with the law around the loot boxes, which I think tells you something about like what the rates probably were. Like
Pretty
it kind
bad.
of tells you something. Yeah, it kind of tells you something. That the fact that they would try to obfuscate that, right? So it is interesting though how there's a lot of complaining about the loot boxes and all that, but I do think that regulations such as that are incredibly helpful and should be encouraged. I think that there should be some like rules, and everyone's got to play by the rules, right? Everyone should be playing by the rules, and you should have. This needs to be regulated in such a way that it is made, like, because I don't think you're going to have, I guess we're moving away from loot boxes now and going into battle passes as a whole, right? But I feel like we're that in terms of loot boxes specifically, there should have been a bit more of a push. And I think in the later, I think nowadays there is a bit more of that, because I know that the Google Play Store, I'm kind of rambling on a bit, but I know that the Google Play Store implemented a thing where it now specifically tells you if if there are like those elements in the game on the page, on the store page, right? Which
I
I've
believe
always
Apple
advocated for.
still has in-app purchase.
In-app purchase, yeah. I like stuff. I feel like stuff like that is the way to go forward. Is to just be transparent about it, and call it for what it is. But let's continue.
Box system updated quite frequently for years, with balance patches, seasonal events, new heroes, maps, game modes, and cosmetics, all for free. Ish. These updates came with videos where the previous and beloved lead director,
Jeff from the Overwatch team,
would explain the philosophy behind every change being made into the game. However, for the last 3 years or so of the game's lifespan, Blizzard pretty much abandoned the game entirely, choosing instead to focus on First of all, this game is not a sequel. Everyone's saying it, and I'm saying it again. It's clear that the title of this game is a marketing ploy to entice people to try it out, where they will be constantly reminded of the new monetization structure that this game poorly implements.
Shut up! Shut up!
Overwatch 1, a game that costed up to $60 for some people, was completely shut down, and its replacement is an early access, free-to-play game that desperately wants you to buy its new battle pass. Alright, let's look at this shit. First level. Oh, cool, you get Kiriko first level,
Can you
right?
pause
Nah.
real quick? Hey, nice face, some guy. What's your experience with the transition to 2?
Well, I haven't
much, I
played
believe.
fucking Overwatch, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know shit.
I just think that Overwatch was conceived to be eternal, as because
Yes, to provide context, I know the history of Overwatch was originally going to be a MMO.
something like that.
Yeah, it was conceived as being an MMO, and then Blizzard, in their infinite wisdom, were like, no, MMOs are fucking dead as a genre, we're gonna turn it into like a shooter. And then eventually it kind of evolved into what Overwatch became, which Overwatch itself was kind of weird because it was this sort of multiplayer only, hero
Shooter was the genre.
No real story to it. outside of video, outside material, right? Like in-game story, there was
Comics
no,
and comments of
there was no like in-game real story kind of campaign type thing. It was a multiplayer only sort of experience type thing that was sold at a premium because it was being marketed as like this premium multiplayer experience, right? Like it was this big thing. And then I do know that over time, as he mentioned in the video, they did kind of abandon it, sort of.
Which I kind of don't. I don't blame them really, because even if I kind of feel, I have the feeling that all big publishers make their live service games with the assumption that they'll just go on forever, and then after 5 years it just slowly dies off, and then, oh damn, we do need a sequel.
Well,
and then they start on the sequel.
The big flaw with these kind of games is that people move on because new shit comes out.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You're going to have very few people that stick around forever, right?
Because bijvoorbeeld, that's Dutch. For example, I fell off before Moria came in. The lady that shoots damaging and healing orbs around.
The girl, yeah, the chick, yeah.
The doctor, the evilish doctor. And I came back because Dutch guy came in, floating Dutch represent.
Yeah.
I played it for like a week then, and it was, he's kind of a fun character, but he's kind of bland by being a strong, what was he again?
It was
an astrophysicist, and that was kind of a bland thing to do because...
Reminds me of Apex, because Apex has a similar thing with me where they added a Mari woman. And it's like they made it the most stereotypical fucking Mari woman.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, come on, guys. Like I get the why. I get like why, because it's okay. I don't want to get into like the whole social justice like the fact because let's be honest, they're the actual racists, okay? But like, but it's like, I can respect the we want to add diversity, we want to have all these different like people represented or whatever, and people to feel. But then it's like the way you go about that is like the most stereotyped fucking way you could possibly fucking do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who? And I'm sitting here, right, as a fucking white male, as they would say, right? I'm sitting here like, is this really what people want? Like, do you really want to be represented by the most, like, it's like your case with the Dutchman, right? The astrophysicist, mentally unstable Dutchman. Like, is that really what you want to be your representation of your culture? Like, do you really want the big, buff, mad, grumpy Mari woman to be the representation of your culture in this video game?
The thing is though, that the Dutch are known for sailing across the world, trader stuff.
You're known for trading. You're known for sailing.
But it's not as well known, I guess, to somebody all the way
to the normies,
all the way in New Zealand, is that the Dutch have a big base, a lot of stuff in astrophysics.
Big smart science people.
Christian Huygens had a big telescope and did telescope stuff, and then you had Kuipers, Mr. Kuipers, who discovered the Kuipers belt, and you had the Oort cloud discovered by Dutch guy Oort. So it's kind of the second thing you can think of, and it's also that makes it a kind of a secondary stereotype. I don't know what is a second stereotype of New Zealand people that New Zealand people know, but not necessarily other people.
Let me think. Like, well, I mean, obviously, you've got us all being hobbits. That's the thing.
So if you all are hobbits, what's the second thing?
But like, if I had to think, right, because the one they went with in Apex was obviously like the grumpy Mario woman, which is a very stereotypical like caricature of what Mario women are like, unironically. I would say you would have like probably farmer guy. Like I'm thinking like you'd have big, burly. He's wearing shorts, gumboots, and a brimmed hat. And he's on his quad bike, you know, and he's on the farm, and he's got his number 8 wire, and he's tending to his sheep, and he's doing the daily grind, right?
So, what?
He's very chill, very stoic, kind of guy, you know. Like that would be like if it was like a like what's his name? There's a comedian. He did a famous song. I always forget his name, but he's a guy that it's called You Don't Know How Lucky You Are. He's a very famous New Zealand comedian. And he's had this whole character where he's basically what I'm describing, right? I might show it to you later. Because when you see a picture of him, it's like recognizable immediately, right? It's like, yeah, no, that's New Zealand, right?
Yeah, so it's what I kind of meant by this is that this guy, this astrophysicist, is kind of stereotype number 2, and it was kind of a disappointing to see the first Dutch guy, because Dutch people don't get much representation in video games.
Yeah, I know how that feels. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to see not cheese eating sailor trader, but stereotype number 2 instead. I'm not really happier because I see stereotype number 2 instead of stereotype number 1.
Type number 1, yeah.
So that's the disappointment with the Dutch Overwatch character.
And the thing is I don't necessarily have a problem with the stereotyping if they do something different and interesting with it, right? Like if it's like an interesting take on that stereotype that maybe has some kind of subversion to it, then I'm a little bit more open to it.
But he's just crazy. He just had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's the same with the angry Mario woman. It's like there's nothing here that's like innovative. It's like it's what you'd expect. Kind of in a sense. But I mean, it's probably not the same in the.
Anyway, that's us complaining about representation as minor
that's
countries.
gonna be the rest of this. That's gonna be the rest of this cast, because we don't really have a whole lot to say about like Overwatch 2. So we're kind of gonna be like going on these like side tangents.
Yeah.
We should just name this cast can just be called like Side Quest. We're just gonna be side questing the whole cast,
complaining about our shared complaints about representation as minor countries in the world.
As minor country, yeah, bloody American devs, and their nonsense. But anyway, let's continue.
A bit premium only. The only reason I have this chick is because I played Overwatch 1, and they gave it to Overwatch 1 players. That's cool, I guess.
Which is a lot of people,
else,
actually.
Here she is, level 55. This Reddit user shared their free-to-play experience, and it took them 49 hours of gameplay to unlock this new hero.
That's pretty... That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'll say that. That's a lot. I would argue, though, you could... Because it kind of depends, right? Like, how long would the Battle Pass last? Like, let's say 4 weeks. So 50 hours over 4 weeks.
I believe, but this is just talking.
You could probably space that out if you were going hard out on it.
The thing,
it's
though,
I get his point, though. It's still a big fucking time investment just to get a free character.
Yeah, and I know that Overwatch has very few support characters to have, and to miss out on
one of them.
What is 1/16 of your options? I don't know how many. Let's say.
Well, the way Overwatch, I've heard that the way Overwatch kind of works, though, is there's not a lot of. I guess it kind of depends on like the kind of match you're in. Like,
yeah, but it's still, if you're missing out 10% of your options, that's still or even 5%.
It's not particularly great. Yeah.
But that's mostly because she's a support character. I thought that she would be available for everybody after this pass.
I would
believe.
assume that would be the way you'd do it, or you'd make it that you can purchase it for like currency or whatever,
cheap or whatever. But
yeah.
yeah, I.
Because
No,
I
no.
vaguely
Let,
recall,
let us.
because I don't know exactly how Apex does it. Like I think Apex has like, don't they
You
have
buy
like,
the character. You just buy
yeah,
them.
well, yeah, but don't they also have it like a rotation where you have like a set of like free characters that kind of rotate out?
I haven't played it in a while, but
I've heard
you had
that's
you
one
had
way
Mori
you can do it.
Guy, you had Wraith,
Oh,
teleporter.
you bigot. He's not Mari, he's Polynesian. I'm gonna shit on you because you don't know that. No, I'm not gonna.
Nah,
do that. I'm just
whatever.
I'm just being
Other
an asshole,
side
but,
of the world, you don't even matter.
you don't
me.
even know the difference between the islanders. You
Yeah. Get your own
You're gonna
name.
get,
New Zealand.
you're gonna get cancelled.
When are you gonna get it your name?
Cancelled video on
What's
Ellie.
your name of that country of yours?
The name is New Zealand because
Oh.
we're new and we're better.
Your derivative. Your derivative.
Sha. Anyway,
International
as you
beef.
but no, I recall like there was like a set of free characters that are always free, and then
Yeah.
there's like a rotation. There's like a rotation where like you'll get like a set group that's like free
Maybe
for
that's
a certain
something
few
new,
weeks.
but it wasn't true in
I
my
don't remember.
time.
I don't remember exactly. I could be completely wrong, but I do. But the point is yeah, you can just outright buy the character with some form of currency. I don't.
Yeah, Apex coins, I believe, or on Steam, I believe you can buy the characters.
Something like that, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'd have to know more about Overwatch's system to know how they go about it. But anyway, let's keep going.
Hero. Some have compared the system to games like Apex Legends. And
Oh,
yes,
hello.
Legends and Apex are also locked upon release. But the difference
Yay.
is that you're able to earn currency to unlock them by playing the game at any time. So you could play a lot in one season and acquire enough currency to unlock multiple Legends in the future. Since Blizzard now
It's a
confines
lot,
heroes to the
though.
I mean,
played
that's the
a
that's
fair...
the thing. It's like I mentioned. Do you want to put in the time investment, or do you want to just spend money? You know, like
yeah, but
because
there's a lot of
it kind of
time.
depends. Because it kind of depends, right? Because it's easy for you, right? Because you're not that interested, right, in the game. You're not as invested in it. But for people that are, and let's say are like grinding the game a lot because that's their game, right? That they play, right? Like they have invested in that game. They're good at that game, or at least they think they're good, right? And so they are playing that game like every day after work, right? Or they're playing that game every day after school, right? Or whatever. And that's kind of their thing. It becomes a little bit more justifiable because you're going to be spending those hours playing the game anyway. So you're going to be earning that money anyway. So you're going to get to the
I
point
guess
where you
so.
can buy those characters anyway. But if it's someone like you, or me, right, who are more like casual in that respect, where we're probably not as interested in playing the game every day, right, or like at all, because I don't play it. It's a bit, it's harder for us to kind of like mentally understand the mindset, I guess, of those people.
So
that
there
play
is, of course, a
invest so much.
difference. There's a difference where in Apex the heroes are there forever, and you can
that's
just
true.
save up money forever to buy them whenever you want.
That's
and
true.
in a battle pass, you have to complete it in this set amount of time.
Or it disappears for ages. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
I
guess that's a good point. I guess
it's the kind of the point that he's making by saving money and buying multiple heroes, etc.
Which is I guess that is a valid. I would prefer that. Like, I would prefer there to be a way that you can just, over
But
time.
I do think that it's kind of it's still kind of fair to put a hero in a battle pass so you can earn that hero through that instead of buying it.
I guess
But
it's just going to depend on if there's any alternative way to get the hero after the pass, right? Like,
there
it
is-
kind of depends.
there is, of course, the question of balance, and especially in a multiplayer game where you can switch out at any time. Because the abilities in Apex, I never really felt that one was so much overpowered than the other. That, you can just shoot them in the head.
I guess like some are probably more useful, like depending on
Sure,
play style.
but you can still shoot them in the head, and I feel that in some cases, in the Overwatch characters, one character is a counter to another, and if you have
didn't they recently like disable May? That was memes.
Oh
going
yeah,
on about
because
that.
there's some.
Because there was some way that you could like glitch out of the map using her wall or something. Like you could find ways to get into places you weren't meant to go by using her wall. And I'm like, there were memes going around about because of the way that they described it. They were like, "We have disabled May. May is now disabled."
Oh no!
Oh
She's on
no!
crutches.
They broke her legs out. She's disabled. She's been disabled. How
On the
could they do
breathalyzer.
this? They're gonna
She
put
needs a
her in a wheelchair. It was quite funny. I thought the memes around that were quite
Spine
good.
broken.
Yeah, spine broken. Yeah, she's been disabled. So yeah, it's a tricky kind of balancing act to play, I guess, because you are probably going. I've heard that Apex balancing is kind of jank in that they'll release something that's OP and then nerf it later.
Oh yeah, I've heard that guy called Seer had an ability which you can see everybody everywhere.
And then
exaggerating.
And then like they nerf it after the season or whatever, so that it's because they incentivize you to buy the new character, right, by having them be overpowered when they first come out, which is kind of, I don't like that, honestly.
I do believe in the goodwill of the people where they first want to make a fun character that people want to play, and unfortunately a fun character that people want to play is a character that is strong and can kill everybody else.
Yeah. But anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah,
because we're almost halfway through, so let's keep
Battle Pass even begin to progress towards unlocking them until they're already available to play. Additionally, a key component of Overwatch
let me go back. We'll listen to him again.
Future. Since Blizzard now confines heroes to the Battle Pass, you cannot even begin to progress towards unlocking them until they're already available to play.
Missed it.
Or you can pay for the Battle Pass to unlock instant pay to win. Okay, I guess.
I don't really feel that it's pay to win though.
I guess it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. Like, it depends. Is the character overpowered? Because if the character's overpowered, then I'd say
well, I do believe they already passed a nerf for her where she can't be invulnerable as long anymore for some
I don't know specifics of anything, but I would lean towards agreeing with him. Just because because it's different when it's like characters, right? Like, that can define meta, like, it might be a bit pay to win if you were, especially since it's a multiplayer game, and it's like, oh, if you don't have that character and you can't utilize that
can't counter that one.
And
the thing though is that most times the new character needs a counter, not that the new character is a counter.
Maybe.
The new character. The new character often isn't a counter for something, I believe. It's more like you need a counter for the new character.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna say I lean more towards agreement than disagreement.
A key component of Overwatch gameplay is hero swapping, or changing who you're playing as mid-match. This means that you're at a significant disadvantage by not always having access to every hero in the game.
Yeah, so here's what we were talking about. Oh, who counters who? Right?
Oh yeah.
Like, here's the big list of your counters of who this character counters these characters, and that count, all this meta nonsense.
So
I only see one.
So see this little icon by my name?
Oh, the kid, this new character Kiriko. I only spotted one that she only is a counter to Junkrat in that list, and she's countered by Widowmaker and some other characters. So
right.
It's still kind of there are always options, so you're not missing out terribly by not having
Right.
her.
All right, well, let's continue.
These are cool. Nobody gives a fuck. Here's a name card. And
Nobody gives a fuck. Yeah, like they're gonna add all these little tiny little flourishy type things. I've never been like drawn to any of this because here's the thing: like if you get like, there's gonna be like 50 billion other people that have the battle pass and are going to be running around the same fucking thing.
I guess I did like sprays, but they were very cheap, like 10 coins.
Well, my thing is, I would rather have one that's like unique, you know, like something that I had to earn, right? Like I have fond memories of like my Call of Duty days, right, where you would have to do like challenges to unlock those like little nameplate things that would like show up when you kill someone or whatever, or like when you die or when someone kills you, you know, like you would have to do like, get 50 sniper headshots, or
you had those,
kill 50 people in one round or something, you know, like, but the thing is those, sure, you'd have some of those that were like common, right, that were like, everyone's running around with that because it's easy to get, but then you'd have the ones that were a bit more like, you know, if someone had that, it would be like, no, they had to work to get that, you know, if you saw someone who had, you know, a certain
you have
like,
those
tag.
in Overwatch. There were a couple of sprays that unlocked when you had so much health healed in one game or something.
I'm more saying like, I don't see the appeal of these battle pass ones because everyone has them basically. Like anyone that has the battle pass is going to have them, so they're not unique in any way. So there's no real.
No,
I feel like they just add these into like a battle pass or whatever, just to kind of padding, right? Just as like, here's a thing that you get with you get the little icon and the little thing to whatever.
I guess I like these. I liked these icons and sprays because they were cheap and I could spend any amount of money that I wanted because it was cheap enough, so I could have the entire collection of these kind of spray.
Well, that's the other thing is collecting purposes. But no, but for my end, it's like if I'm gonna be actually like using one on my character, right, like, or like using one, right, I would rather use one that I earned that actually meant something, you know, like actually was like, I actually fucking put the work in to do that, and
I
managed to get that done.
I do have to say, there are so many sprays in Overwatch that there's a good chance you're the only one on your team at least that has that spray.
That and there's also the personal preference thing of like, does it look cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And if somebody else has the spray that looks cool, then alright, you have two sprays that look cool.
Cool. Yeah, like I'm more just saying, like in the like, okay, do I want to buy this? I'm not gonna be buying this for the fucking icon. You know what I mean? Like, the icon doesn't really matter, and even to an extent, the skins too, right? Like, I don't like. Yeah, everyone's gonna be running around with the skins. It doesn't matter. Like. It just becomes a matter of, do I think this looks cool enough for me to want to buy it, right? Rather than do I want to run this because it means something, you know? And I feel like we've kind of lost that sort of, you know, this meant something, you know? If you had the nuclear icon or whatever in like, I don't know, COD or whatever, it was like, you got the nuke or whatever, and that was a big thing that you did, right? You managed to do that as a challenge, right, or whatever. So I kind of, you know, I'm doing my own rose-tinted glasses. I miss the ye olde days of
because
you had to actually fucking earn shit rather than just buy it, you know.
The thing though is that even if you had the banner with the nuke, there were so many other people that had the banner with the nuke.
Probably,
at some point it becomes more of a thing. Even if it's a thing that you get on your first hit headshot ever, if the banner for your first headshot banner is cooler than the nuke one, then you'll get the nuke one.
But that's where the personalization aspect comes in. Yeah, we're side questing again. Let's continue.
New type of to this game. One cool feature of these is that if you equip one, you're not allowed to unequip it. And then the ultimate tier is Genji, the new mythic skin that took a year to make. Remember that, guys? It took a year to make.
It took a year to make a skin. Okay.
The two biggest sins of this battle pass are locking the new hero behind it and not giving you any currency back. So basically they copied something, but they made it
Is
shitty.
that... I don't really feel that you have to give currency in the battle pass.
I think it's nice. It kind of reminds me of Arknights, where because Arknights has like packs where it's like you can buy. So you have like the paid currency, right? You know, your Originium or whatever. But then you also have like, you can buy like the headhunting pack or whatever that comes with like a 10 pull plus. But the thing is it comes with a 10 pull plus however the amount of currency it would have cost if you'd brought the currency, right? So you buy the pack, but the pack also comes with equal amounts of the thing that you're paying for, right? Or maybe like slightly more or slightly discounted, right? In a sense. So you are kind of still getting like currency, right? But you're also getting something else that's worth a certain amount of real money, you know, however you like define worth in this sense, I guess. But so I understand. I'm getting the piggies.
So I don't really. I should really look up if that kitty character, Japanese character, would be unlocked after this season or how that would go. But having the character unlock earlier in the battle pass by playing the battle pass is not a bad thing.
So, and another thing, so I'm going to compare this to War Thunder, because War Thunder actually recently implemented a battle pass, right? Like a while ago, like a few months ago. And the way they do it is like, you have, every single day you log in, so just logging in, not even playing the game, you'll get like a point. And then the more you log in, the more points you'll start to get per day. So eventually it'll be 1 point per day, 2 points per day, 5 points per day.
I would feel after 2 days.
Probably.
I'm terrible.
But so it rewards consistent login, right? And if you do that, you will get, because I think to get the free vehicle, it's like 50 out of 100 or something. It's like halfway through the battle pass, I think, to get the free vehicle. I think if you just log in, it's like 25 or something, or like 26 or 30 in the battle pass thing, right? So and you need like 10 of those points to get one step in the battle pass, right? So there's like a calculation where it's like you need to do a certain amount of grind to get the free thing or whatever, and then the rest of it is you have to do like tasks per day, like dailies, right? So that's kind of how they do it. And I don't know. I feel like that's kind of fair. You get like a few little free things thrown in along there if you don't pay for it. And then another component that he hasn't actually touched on is that if you buy the battle pass, you can also skip levels. So you'll get like 10 levels, like go from like level 1 up to level like 10 for free, or not for free, but you pay for. You get what I mean, without having to grind, right? So you get like a jump start, which means you'd have to do less grinding, right? So I feel like I can understand, like, okay, you should probably put like the free character at an early point, but then again, you want to they as a company want to incentivize you to keep playing the game. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm not really agreeing with his two deadly sins point. That's basically the short of it.
All right, well let's continue.
God damn, Blizzard's good at that. It speaks volumes to the pathetic state of their new system that players are grieving the removal of loot boxes. Loot boxes.
Which is... Can you pause?
Which is kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, which is just... That is just scoping. That is just rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be 100% real. If I had to pick between like loot boxes and a battle pass, I'm gonna pick the fucking battle pass. Because at least with the battle pass, I know what I'm gonna get. You know, at least the battle pass, there's no random aspect to it. So like, I'm gonna full on.
Loot boxes were cool because you got your gambler's high.
Yeah, you got your psychology, fucking, you know,
yeah,
dopamine. You got your dopamine. Daddy needs his dopamine. Yeah.
How bad that battle pass is, it's still way better than actual gambling.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the point he's gonna make. Let's get to
Notorious monetary schemes ever contrived. I don't blame him though. Overwatch 2 intentionally removed the leveling system so that the sole form of progression is the battle pass. Remember those seasonal events from Overwatch 1 I spoke of? Well, all of those previously released seasonal cosmetics are no longer unlockable for free. You must purchase them with their new currency, Overwatch coins. Before we even get into the skins, let's take a look at the price of the coins themselves.
Is it so? Maybe it's so.
All right, so here's the comparison between V-Bucks, right? So you can get 1,000. But the problem with this is you have to compare that with how much things cost in the game, which I hope he does when he continues, because like what is the price of a skin in Overwatch versus the price of a skin in
because I guess there are these dunks on games where it's said that if you want to unlock everything, you have to play for 1,000 hours, an entire month of game time to unlock everything. But who does that?
Yeah, that's a thing, right? It's like, it reminds me of, you've got Dead or Alive and also like Train Simulator, oddly enough, have this thing where it's like you'll go to the DLC page and there's
yeah.
I mean, I think we both know about this when it comes to like Warhammer, right? Like Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3 and whatnot, where it's like you'll go to the DLC page and there's like thousands of dollars of like DLC or whatever, or expansions, but it's like you don't actually have to buy all of that, right? Like you can just like for instance, I like the Lizard Man, right? Like I'm a Lizard Man boy. I like my Lizard Man, my big burly lizards, right? I can just buy the DLC that is Lizard Man related, and I can have a perfectly fine gaming experience. Just playing Lizardmen. And then if I wanted to, try a different faction, I could try them out without the DLC and see if I like them. And then, if I like them, I might buy the extra units or the hero unit, or whatever.
Yeah, get some extra high elves.
Yeah, get some extra units that add to my toolkit, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm like, you don't necessarily need to like buy every single thing, right? Or every single skin.
Or
right?
play the equivalent of buying every single thing.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. You just play like what you want to play. Like the Dead or Alive examples, because Dead or Alive has like thousands of dollars worth of fucking
cosmetics,
skins, right? You don't have to buy every single skin. You could just, if you have a character that you like, you could just buy the skin for that character that you like. You don't have to, it's very weird to me. But getting back to this point, right, like I'm hoping that he's about to get into like, because here's the thing, all right, 1,000 V-Bucks for $8, right, American, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really mean anything to me, because how much is a skin? Is a skin like 500, 200, like 1,000? Like,
so if one skin is 1,000, because I believe a moderately rare skin in Overwatch 1 was 1,000. So one skin is $10 expensive, but I guess it's still in the realm of expected. I would want to know how much game time you would need to have to buy one of those skins.
Yeah, it's like a mathematical equation you have to do. It's like time over.
Because I don't care for every single character. I'm
no, and I don't. And you might not even care for every single skin on the specific characters you even care about.
I played a lot of D.Va in Overwatch 1, and I never bought Overwatch coins, and I bought a loot box, 10 loot boxes once. But most of the skins that I got for D.Va, I just bought with coin that I had, and I never really felt the need to. I never played extra to get the coins.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what he sees.
Pricing of their coins is already a great representation of their insatiable greed. If you get the discount from buying $50 worth of coins, this skin costs about $18. If you get the discount from buying $32 worth of V-Bucks, this skin with 4 styles, a back bling, a pickaxe, a glider, and a wrap for your weapons and vehicles costs about $13.
Okay, so
Wait, no, that's not fair because the Overwatch skins in Overwatch also change the weapons though. And Overwatch
yeah, I
doesn't
was
have
gonna say yeah, that's a little bit disingenuous.
Overwatch
'Cause,
doesn't have a
yeah.
glider or pickaxes or and all that.
I guess the difference is that in Fortnite you can like mix and match, so it's like a separate
Is
weapon
it
skin.
so though? Maybe.
Yeah, well, I assume that's why they're separated, right? So it's like you have like the skin.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so you have like the skin itself, and then you have like the backpack, and then you have like the weapon, and then you have like the glider, and then you have like the gun skin, right? And I assume that you can kind of like mix and match those separate elements if you want.
Sure.
So I guess from that respect, it's better value because you're getting like 5 different. I don't know if I would say that it's that big of a thing though, because like you said, like in Overwatch, yeah, you still have like it's still all of those things. It's just it's one package instead of being separated and like mix and match.
Also,
combinable.
Overwatch character is not a character. It's a blank. It's a thing you can customize. In Overwatch character is a fixed character, and you can have a pretty.
Well, I mean, he's talking specifically just about cosmetics here, not characters.
Yeah,
so.
but still,
I get what he's again. I get what he's saying. I get what he's talking about here, and I can kind of agree that like if you're looking at like the cost for value, the objectively the
you have more options with customization in
another thing to
Fortnite.
consider is do you notice up in the top corner there it says 900 so this is a discounted skin. I just noticed that like it's 900 V-bucks off on this particular skin that he's using for his example, so it's already discounted. So
maybe I don't know.
Maybe it's not as representative as he's making it out. Maybe if you took a non-discounted skin and compared it, perhaps maybe the Fortnite skin actually costs more real world money if you wanted to buy it straight, right? So that's kind of.
I still kind of want to know how much game time it costs for both.
Yeah, well let's see what he says.
So Fortnite skins significantly cheaper, but they have more innate value through the game's third-person mode, where you're always able to see them, and the fact that they're not tied to specific heroes like in Overwatch. Apparently this, plus this, plus this, is worth more than the entirety of Overwatch 1. As if this wasn't enough of an insult to the fans of the first game, the amount and quality of base cosmetics for the 3 new heroes in the game is boo-boo! Overwatch 2 would have had my respect and probably even my money if they would have at least matched the quality and prices of Fortnite's current system.
I still don't think you can compare the both currencies though.
Like you said, I want to know what the time investment's like for both.
Because that's the real equalizer. How much money you can get for so much time.
Yeah, I want to know the time investment, and I also want to like have a better example of. Okay, so this game, because again he used a discounted example, so he shouldn't have used a discounted. Because was the Overwatch skin discounted?
I don't know.
Like that's where I'm kind of like. Questioning here because
he calculated on basis of the discounted coin buy.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, if you buy like the bigger packs, they give you more coin. Like that's a psychological bullshit. So I kind of like would have to know. But anyway, he's going to talk about the actual game now, so I guess we could.
About the actual game now. How is it different from Overwatch 1? Well, here's a good way to describe it. This is Risk of Rain 1. This is Risk of Rain 2. This is
I don't know if this is comparable.
Nah, it's not.
I don't know, because like I guess you could like because I get where he's gonna go with the argument is because Overwatch, like, let's be real here, Overwatch 2 is like just an expansion for Overwatch 1. Like it really shouldn't have been. So I watched another video about this actually that was Overwatch related, which was the guy talking about how it was more of a positive video because he was trying to make the point that the problem with Overwatch 2 is everyone because they've released the early access, right? The beta, right? The closed beta stuff. And it was basically just Overwatch 1 with the reskin. And the problem was that they had promised, like, oh, we're gonna have like a single player mode, and it's gonna have like all these other features,
PvEs, etc.,
PvE
progressions and
stuff.
whatnot. And I don't know. I'm just saying stuff.
But all of that hasn't come yet, right? We haven't actually seen that materialize. It's just like, okay, here's the multiplayer component of this alleged three-part experience, right?
Which you already know because you already played it.
Yeah, so I think this is a valid criticism. But the problem isn't like that it's not a valid criticism. The problem is that his example of comparing it to like Risk of Rain 1 and 2 is like comparing apples to oranges. Right,
compared to Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, I guess.
Kind of, yeah. Like, is there more content in that versus the first one, or like, is it just
it's more of the same, and it was good then, and it's good then.
It's still good now, yeah. So I feel like that was just a poor example to use.
Overwatch 1. This is Overwatch 2. Blizzard's original intention of calling it Overwatch 2 was the new PvE mode, which was delayed. Yet the game still launched. Siegel made a great video on this, I'll link you. I'm not holding back from judging this game in its current state. The early access label is not some magical shield to protect AAA corporations from releasing mediocrity, especially for this game since they completely removed the previous and arguably superior one. Put simply, every change in Overwatch 2 could have been patched in the first game. I do like some of them, but it's hard to give praise because we would have had significantly more content by now if Blizzard would have just continued updating the first game.
Yeah, I can't, like, I don't disagree. I honestly think that, given the context of it, I think that they should, it seems like a bit more of a cash grab to just go with the Overwatch 2. They should have just, like, upgraded Overwatch to be like Overwatch 2.0, you know, and just kept the same game.
I do think they
kept the same game, but had like a big expansion pack update type thing, where it's like, you know, oh, it's the same game, but it's, you know, I don't really understand the mentality of, oh, we need to like shut down the old game and move over to a completely different experience, right?
I feel the energies. I feel the energies of plans that they had but weren't able to make on time.
Shit happened, yeah. Something that I get that feeling too, where it's like they had, oh, we're gonna have this giant story campaign and the PvE.
Oh no, it's delayed. But we already stopped updating the previous one and we moved on to a new engine, so we can't update.
We're hemorrhaging money and players and
Oh
resources.
no, we have to do something, but we can't update the old one.
We have a massive sexual assault scandal going.
Oh no.
We kind of need to do something quick. Make another character homosexual. you know what I mean?
But everybody already is. Who's left?
Oh, what are we gonna do?
The hamster. The hamster.
we have to make a character straight. That'll get him. That'll get him going. Confirm a character is straight. That'll get people talking about the game.
Tracer broke up with her girlfriend, whose name I don't know.
Yeah. Whose name no one remembers because she's completely whatever. But yeah,
not in the story, not in the game.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, and so again, it's like I don't necessarily disagree with the guy here. Honestly, I think that he's.
It's more of I don't really feel the characterization because they're levels. You know, there's the big evil corporation that looks at the thing people make and say, and but how much more money can we make out of this? Yeah. And then there's the people who get told to make this because it's the hip new thing, and then there are the people who actual make the thing, and they'll bend everything to make something that they'll like more than the thing that they're told to make. And it's all a big interplay, and things go wrong and delayed, and like I said, they weren't able to go back, and the version version stuff gets too difficult.
Yada, yeah.
And they would like to keep the old version up, but then big corporate man says no, it costs too much money, and marketing says not to split up the user base.
Let's keep going.
This isn't even a straight upgrade though. Various seemingly arbitrary, lazy, or devious changes were made, many of which have a noticeably
Devious
negative impact.
changes.
Devious.
As I said before, player borders and levels were entirely removed, probably to incentivize buying into their new system. The post-match screen is gone, along with the time to chat and potentially group up with your current team. I want to believe this wasn't removed to extend the Battle Pass grind, since you get more XP if you're in a group, but I wouldn't really put anything past Blizzard at this point. The ability to endorse the enemy team was removed, no idea why. Heroes will say they're on fire,
I'm on fire.
but the sound effect and icon animation was removed. Again, why? There's an entire...
Yeah, see, a lot of these I can agree is like, why?
Yeah, the fire and the animation, the sound is a miss. I get the ability to remove I get the removal of the ability to commentate the opposing team. Because are you actually paying attention who was a good team player on the opposing team?
I don't know.
It's hard enough.
He's adding a whole lot of minor things that probably are not.
I mean, half of them are
deal.
probably right, but it's hard enough to know.
I would agree with the on, because I don't know how that whole system works, but like visual audio feedback is very important in the video games, right?
Yeah,
especially in a competitive start type shooter or a game where, like, I was recalling that I was watching a thing about Total War actually, where a guy was talking about how enemies not having a reload animation in a certain Total War game is really, really bad, because you'll have enemy, or like you'll have your unit, right? It's a ranged unit, and it will be firing its arrows or whatever, and then it stops firing its arrows. And what's like your first thing that you think of when you notice, oh, my unit is not firing its arrows? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Like,
yeah, I would.
It's gonna be why. No, it's gonna be, why the fuck is my unit not firing its arrows?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I would then
retarget. So you're gonna have to look at your unit, right? And if the units, and this guy's argument was basically because the units are, there's no reload animation, you can't visually see, oh, my unit is just reloading. Okay, and then you can go on, because you're in a real time like ish, unless you like pause, right? Most of the time you're in a real time strategy environment, right? You have to like you're juggling like different things at once, right? So you need that visual audio feedback of, oh, I can just quickly look at my unit and see what it's doing. Oh, it's reloading. Okay, move on to the next thing on the list of priorities, right? Because you know that once it's done reloading, it's just going to start shooting again. And if it doesn't start shooting again, then you can go back and go, okay, what the fuck are you doing, right? And so when it comes to stuff like that, I think that's a 100% valid complaint in this, with the like on fire thing, where it's like, if they're removing that audio visual feedback, that's fucking bad. That's just bad game design. You need to give people the ability to like, the information that you give the player is very important.
But the ability to commentate the opposing team, it's already hard enough to know what your teammates...
and not necessarily that important, right? The grand scheme of things, right?
It's like, hard enough to know what your own team is doing, to then pay attention what the opposing team did.
Is up to. No, I get, So let's keep going. We're almost there. We've got a few minutes left.
Entirely new across the board, time of day was changed on some maps, and new hero selection animations were introduced. These changes were obviously made as an attempt to convince you that this is not actually just Overwatch 1 still, and instead of putting any thought or care into them, they kinda just did whatever, leading to yet more examples of a worse experience. I wouldn't blame anyone for dismissing this game solely based off Blizzard's misbehavior over the last few years, but I don't think the actions of some should represent everyone there. That said, it was easy to see how anti-consumer, lazy, and soulless this game is with very little time invested. While there are some positive changes made, others are debatable as upgrades and some are straight up downgrades. Forcing this sequel onto loyal fans of the original game, and changing previously free aspects into cash grabs or grind fests is a massive slap in the face. It's not about being free to play or having a battle pass. It's about the dirty changes Blizzard intentionally made to these already established systems, mandating their new structure by revoking access to a paid game where much of the content was earnable for free, all while launching with many other issues, some of which I didn't even cover in this video. It's clear that this version of the game was not an oversight, but rather a calculated, rapacious push to establish what they could get away with.
It's interesting.
Is
how
that
he's,
so?
It's interesting how he's like, I'm not going to like blame the whole for the actions of the few, and then he just immediately goes into, I'm going to blame everyone for the actions, but like the game is bad because it's a calculated like decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like.
There's a
Calculated
lot
decision
of
by who? Like who made this calculated decision? Are we going to speculate? Or was it the devs, or was it like the fucking big boss CEO Elon Musk man or something? Right? You know what I mean? Like what's he?
Bobby Kotick in this case, I believe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, let's stop supporting anti-consumer corporations. Let's see what he says.
Which
There's nothing
corporation
wrong
is
with playing
pro-consumer?
also-
All right, hang on. I want to listen to this because this is going to be good.
But if you're also against the persistent rise of anti-consumer practices, I urge you to consider the importance of not spending money on them. I'm glad that so many people are voicing their disappointment with the game as well, but how much do their words really matter if they're still handing Blizzard their money?
Fucking calling people the fuck out here. Good. I like that. He's got some balls on him. Good.
Is it still? If you want to review something, you do need to engage with it.
Okay,
though.
so on the one, I kind of think that, yeah, if you're gonna be principled about it, you know, if you're gonna have the principle, then yes, you should not fucking buy and play the game, right? You know, like you shouldn't spend money on it at least, right? And even playing it, I actually agree that you shouldn't. Like if you are anti the consumer practice, you should boycott the game. If you actually are principled. The problem that you're going to run into is this, and this, the black pill this guy is going to have to realize is that nobody has fucking principles anymore. Right? Like no one actually upholds their principles anymore. Like they're still going to play the game.
Ever.
Well, yeah, they're still gonna play the game. They're still gonna buy the shit. They're still gonna like do what they're gonna do to get the views, right? I'm sorry, but it's just like you're not. It doesn't matter, right? It just like you can make these videos like because here's the thing. We've gone for as I mentioned earlier in the cast, I've watched this transpire from the early days. I remember when loot boxes were just coming in, right, and being a thing, and everybody was so angry about it. You know, oh, it's gambling, oh, it's the devil incarnate, it's so bad, we should boycott all these guys. And at the end of the day, people still brought the game. People still brought the loot boxes. These companies still made record profits off them. You're not like if you're gonna do it, you got to do it because you personally have the values. You need to be realistic about the fact that you are in a minority. All right.
Yeah, I do feel that. I don't know. I feel that he stop supporting anti-consumer corporations. That feels like there are pro-consumer corporations out there in the world.
Do I need to put that communist fucking music back? Start humming that? Nah, I'm fucking with you.
But you know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But how is Blizzard going to be a pro-consumer corporation? That's not what they're there for.
Yeah.
So this dream that even back in the day, the good old days of Diablo 2, back then they were a pro-consumer corporation. No, they made a game that they wanted to make, and maybe they had less
and it
big,
just so happened to sell really well. Yeah.
And maybe they had less big corporate people above them, but it's still not
I
Then don't-
I have heard from like ex-Blizzard employees that have done interviews and stuff that there was definitely like a corporatization that happened when it kind of became less about making the good games and more about the corporate big money thing.
Yeah,
So
when
there is-
Activision came in, I would believe.
So I think there is an element of they got ruined by the big money, and when big money starts to get into everything, that's a problem. But you see, there's a very easy solution to this fucking problem. You just don't buy AAA games. You just buy indie games or
Because
smaller
apparently
titles
these
that you care
AAA games are
about.
bad. Just buy
Yeah.
good games that are not AAA.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing. It's so simple, you know, and it's like you can beat that drum as much as you want, but at the end of the day, normies are still going to keep buying the AAA games, right?
Because apparently they're good enough.
Yeah, they're good enough. Unless they're not good enough in, you know, extreme cases, right? You know, where
And
they end up
still,
being shit.
and I don't really buy that. I'm not buying your doomerism that much because Blizzard did get a big pounding from all these
Oh, they did.
harassment
Oh, they did.
cases, and I believe that in general their player base went down because of all the case.
Oh yeah, no.
lawsuits.
Well, I mean, no. But the thing is there's a difference between legitimate, real sexual harassment in the workplace versus having loot boxes. Right? There's a
Yeah, because
level
you
of
cannot-
severity there that's a bit like I can and even with the drop, right? Even with the drop, they're still probably gonna do well on Overwatch 2, right? That's that. Like I'm gonna.
I guess
call it-
well enough though.
Oh yeah, no, they're not gonna do as good. Don't get me wrong, but I guess it kind of depends on like how you view. Like it reminds me of, you remember like Square Enix when like Tomb Raider sold like 16 billion copies, and they were, like colossal failure. You know, like it kind of depends on how you like judge, because to Blizzard, right? The it's going to be a colossal like failure or whatever, but it still probably is going to be raking in billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? So, you know, perspective is key here, I think. And how and when he's talking about this, he's like, yeah, I don't disagree. It's weird because it's like I don't necessarily disagree with him, but I'm just kind of like,
I feel it's misguided though.
I just feel like I've heard this song and dance before, right? Like I've seen this song and dance play out 100 billion fucking times, and it never, like the black pill in me is like the lolly dom in me is like, nah, man, no one gives a shit. You just
Nah,
have to
I'm just.
come to terms with it, mate.
It's almost been 2 hours, but he started off with saying there was a golden age.
The golden age will return again.
And then he places this Overwatch game as a counterexample, but his golden age never existed, not to the extent that he imagines. So Overwatch 2 isn't as bad as he says it's now, so he should chill out a little bit. That's what was my view, basically, on Overwatch 2. It's
Alright,
probably fine, I guess.
Well, let's get it over with because we're almost done.
I strongly suggest that you don't buy anything from this game.
I don't doubt that's
Yeah.
You know what? Fair enough. You know what?
I guess.
Fair enough. I think this should be called out. You know, you gotta. On some level, you should probably live what you preach, right? A little bit. You know.
I do believe that there is something you do need to interact with the thing to judge it. So
Oh no, I can understand that, but I do think that if he,
maybe
no,
a disclaimer somewhere.
yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of do as I say, not as I do, right? A little bit. But at the same time, I can understand the criticism of, you know, you're not living by your principles, right? Like if the principle is don't support the game, and yet here you are supporting the game, I think that's valid to call out. You know, I think that's a valid call out to have, and then perhaps maybe Actman here or whoever he is, right? I don't watch him or sub to him, but I know of him. Maybe he can respond to this and he can be like, yeah, no, I brought it because I needed to examine it or whatever. Like that. Could be
I
an
haven't played it
excuse.
since or something.
I haven't played it since. I only brought it so that I could evaluate it. However, I view that as a bit of an excuse because it reminds me. You remember Diablo Immortal or whatever, the mobile thing, or whatever that everyone was memeing about. Because there was that Kiwi guy or whatever who like spent like $50,000 or something to get the fucking thing, and then he like deleted his account or whatever. And it's like
That was I just feel that's such a waste.
that's what I'm talking about here. It's like, so you're spending that money to prove how bullshit it is, right? To prove how bad it is, right? But at the end of the day, you just gave Blizzard $50,000, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, these two things don't add up, right? They don't add up. It's like you can prove that it's bad
but
without
it's still...
having to give them a shitload of money, right? And then I think that, like, let's say like Actman here buying the battle pass is certainly not on the same level as that.
No, that's
right?
what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's certainly not the same. And it's not the same. Let's be perfectly honest here. But I think that it is still a worthy enough thing to point out, just to be like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, he's not making a big deal out of it. He's not chastising this act man for it that much.
Yeah.
It's just a funny erection image at the end of the day.
Yeah, let's continue.
I don't doubt developers still have great passion and try to prioritize fun over everything. But the only way the higher-ups will revise their increasingly vile tactics is if players stop monetarily supporting them. So play the game, but don't play their game.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I guess that was it. So that was an interesting discussion, I guess. I mean, the video was fine. I didn't really have any issue with it, to be honest.
I mean, there's some perspective and
yeah,
and
there wasn't anything like egregious though.
Starting,
like, I wasn't like,
wow.
there
I
wasn't
thought the start was rather egregious. The good old days, the days of
the good old days of old.
when the quality game, no flaws whatsoever,
the
Skyrim
age,
came out.
Yeah, the golden age will begin again or whatever. Other than that, though, it's like, this is a pretty standard video. I didn't really have anything that I like overly disagreed with or felt was that egregious to me. At least I kind of agreed a lot. I think I agreed, but like with an asterisk, like it's agreement, but it's like there's like a little asterisk there that's like stipulation along with the agreement. Like there's a little extra context there that I kind of have to go into. But nonetheless, we had a pretty good discussion about, monetization and how we feel about that at the end of the day. So I feel this has been a pretty good productive cast. So
everybody learned I can't play mobile games.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess we will cut it off here, and we will see you all next time. Later.
Bye.